Hey guys, I'm back with another video. Today I'll be talking about the newest maps that were added into the latest map pool. So, as probably most of you already know, there's 5 new maps. Those are Odyssey, Defender's Landing, Sequencer, Ascension to Ire, and Blood Boil. So basically, this video I'll be talking about all those 5 maps, what I think about them initially, how you should play it out as a Terran player, which natural or third base you should take, what you should be careful of, and how to, use the maps to the best of your advantage with, either Hellions, Reapers, Liberators, or Ravens. So let's start with the first map. Okay, so the first map I'll be talking about is Ascension to Ire. This is the first out of the 5 new maps that are introduced into this new ladder map pool. So the map is fairly straightforward. It's a 2-player map, so you can spawn in the top left and bottom right position. The natural is a pretty obvious one. Just like on every map, in every matchup, you kind of want to wall off as soon as you can, just to prevent Ling run bys or Hellion run bys, or even Adepts or anything like that. So the moment you take your natural, try to wall that off. Now, one interesting thing about this map is that's very bad for Terran is the back side of the main base does not have a place for the Reapers to jump in. So you have to be pretty careful when you play against Protoss or even in TVT. It will be pretty hard to scout your opponent. So you don't want to do the builds that are too risky because of that, because you won't be able to get the full scouting. Now, if you look behind the main and the natural bases, there's not a lot of dead space, so you can't really use Liberators or Ravens in the early game too much. But good thing is the opponents cannot do the same against you either. So the Oracle is not going to be too good, because if you place a missile turret, there's no real place for the Oracle to run, or even Cloak Banshee, because if you just lock on with your Cyclone, you will end up killing the flying unit. Now, there's 2 possible third bases, which is this one, and then you have a third base on this side. In my opinion, you probably want to take this third. The reason for that is if you're playing against Protoss or Terran, it's a spot where the War Prism cannot simply run in here, or a Doom Drop. They would have to go around, but if you place a sensor tower at this position, you'll be able to have like an arc of sensor tower right here to make it easier to defend for you. And there's no real path from them to go to the natural into the main. It's, if you have a turret here, that's going to be pretty hard. So in my opinion, take this base. Now, the harass potential on this map is kind of very hard to pull off, in my opinion, as a Terran player. Simply because, like I said, there's not much dead airspace. So a lot of the builds or pushes that you would do in this map are kind of straightforward, whether it's a triple CC, because again, the opponent cannot really scout you with Reapers, and the defense against Oracles would be a lot easier in this map than some of the other ones. As far as the attacking paths go, um, the watchtowers in the middle are pretty important, in my opinion, and it's kind of like if you control one, you're going to control 2 of them. If you manage to get this side of the map, you can defend, if the opponent is trying to get to the watchtowers and take them. So I think, especially in TVT, the watchtowers will be super important. And like I said, having one gives you 2 of them, so it's even more vision. Now, just like on most of the maps, you will end up pushing onto the 3rd or the 4th base. There's a couple of good positions for siege tanks. For example, you can siege up here and shoot at the opponent to the high ground. If the opponent expands to this base, well, you can place your siege tanks like 3-4 here, a couple of them here shooting at the 3rd. The matchup doesn't really matter, since this is viable in all 3 matchups. And other than that, the map is pretty open, and there's a lot of counterattack paths with a lot of rocks that you can destroy to open up even more paths, as you can see on both sides. This base is pretty risky to take, in my opinion, since if you play TVT, you can get shot from the low ground. But basically, on this map, the way you want to play is probably fast 3 base, kind of play defensive, make sure you control the watchtowers, and especially in this position, I think the siege tanks are the strongest. But other than that, the map is pretty straightforward. you won't be able to do too many cute moves to come back into the game or make plays. So it will be kind of on straight on engagements with a lot of micro and macro to back it up. Now, the second map in this new map pool is Blood Boil, and Blood Boil is a very interesting map. Let's start with the natural base. Natural base actually has 10 mineral patches. So on every other map, the bases have 8 mineral patches and 2 gases. This one has 10 and 1 gas. So you can actually fully mine it with 20 SCVs. One thing you need to be careful of, because there's only one gas, you need to grab it kind of earlier because you cannot just double gas and get your income, gas income going as a Terran or any other race, in fact. So you want to wall off here, which is pretty good because it covers both your main and the natural. The natural has these rocks, so you need to be careful of some kind of Void Ray, Immortal All-Ins, or even Zerg, perhaps like proxying a hatchery here and killing this and all-inning with that. There's these rocks that are collapsible rocks that you can kill and kind of wall off this path, which is something I suggest doing at every game against every race whenever you have units not doing anything. After that, this is going to be obviously your third base. Make sure this is walled off for the run-bys. Once you kill this, your fast 3 base are going to be pretty secured. Now, there's this path that you can use and abuse in TVT and TVZ. So you can proxy 3 Raxes here against Zerg, since it's pretty easy entrance to the main base, maybe back a bunker here as well. Same can be done in TVT, or if you're doing some kind of cheese in a TVP, you can proxy 1 Rax and transition into factory, and so on. Now, the watchtowers in this map, there's 4 of them, and some of them are pretty important, some of them not so much. For example, the one on the bottom left and top right are actually pretty hard to hold because it's kind of open space. It doesn't really cover much. It covers this space, which I guess if you're attacking, you can take it, but I'm pretty sure that player defending that base will also try to take it as well. So, in my opinion, not really useful map because it doesn't really cover anything important. No important paths. Even if you're passing through here, it won't see the units. On the other hand, the other 2 watchtowers are covering the gold base, which is super important. And they cover this base, they cover this path, and this one as well. So no matter what race you play against, the gold base will be their 4th base, and that will be the focus of the whole game. Pretty sure that it will happen like that 90% of the games played. Whether you play against Zerg, Protoss, or Terran, they will be taking this space, and you're going to try and take it down, and so the opponent doesn't get the huge boost in income. Now, one interesting thing is gold bases, as we know, usually have 6 mineral patches, so 12 workers are enough to fully mine it. This gold base has 8 mineral patches, so you actually need 16 workers to fully mine. So this gold base is actually even better than the normal gold bases, which are already pretty good. And which is the reason why everyone is going to be taking this base, because the mineral boost for the income will be much bigger than if you would take this base as your 4th, for example. Now, if we look at the harass options, there's definitely a lot of cheese options on this map, especially early, like 1 base. Harass options, not so much. The reason for that is, just like on Ascension, there's not much or any dead airspace behind your main and the natural. So you cannot really siege up Liberator here because Queens or Stalkers are going to have pretty easy time just going around and killing your Liberators. Ravens can be used. You can hide a Raven here, pop a auto turret. Now the problem is, if your Raven is here, you cannot really go around because, again, you're going to be passing here and get attacked. So not too great of a map, once again, for harass. I would suggest triple CCing on this map in pretty much every matchup. Now, because it's so good for triple CC, you will face a lot of 2-base all-ins, people that are going to try to abuse that, and just kind of get you off your balance and make sure that they kill you pretty early on in the game. Now, as we walk into The mid game, like I said, the fights will be around your fourth base, and if you're attacking this base, you can siege up your siege tanks here, put a marine down, have a watchtower, so you wouldn't need to scan against your opponent, and it would give you a pretty strong position. Another really strong position for siege tanks, no matter the matchup, is you can attack through here, put a lot of siege tanks here, like 5, 6, drop your marines on top, and you have free reign over the main base, whether it's a CC, Nexus, or a hatchery. Another cool move you can do is sieging up siege tanks below their third base. Now this is a little bit more risky because you need to go all the way around to make this happen. So if the opponent sees you doing that, they might just counterattack and pull their drones to another base. So you should be very careful about that. Um, as far as the map balance goes, TVT I think will be very interesting on this map. There's a lot of attack paths, and the main is very vulnerable to sieging up here, or even if you siege up here, you can cover this ramp. So TVT will be very hard to play on this map, in my opinion. You won't There will be a lot of counter attacks, counter drops, good siege ups from both sides. TVZ will be extremely hard on this map. I've talked about this to quite a few Zerg players, and they all agree that this map is very hard for Terrans. The map, as you can see, is very open. There's, a lot of counterattack paths. There's 4 watchtowers, which in TVZ is very good for the Zerg because it's a lot easier for them to hold them with Zerglings. And TVP, I personally think this map is better for Terran than it is for Protoss. Again, the season just started, so everything I'm saying might change as far as map balance goes toward one race or another. New strategies, play styles might come up, but these are my first impressions about Blood Boil. If you're playing against your Zerg friend or in a tournament, I would suggest vetoing this map for now because simply standard play will not cut it because the Zerg can drone up this space extremely fast and just abuse the fact that your natural has 10 mineral patches and then your gold, that's your fourth base, has 8 mineral patches. Let's move on to the next one. On to the third map in the newest map pool. It is Sequencer. Um, I'll start off by saying I don't like this map. The reason why I don't like this map is the middle, to me personally, when I play, is so confusing. There's so many paths. I already played probably 10, 20 games on this map, and when I send my units across the map, I don't know where they're going to go because some of the paths are open, some of the paths have rocks. Um, and me personally, I'm having a hard time like knowing where I'm supposed to go, where the opponent can go, and I guess this comes with experience. But from the start, this was very and still is very confusing map for me. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Maybe other people like it. We'll see. The time will tell. Now let's start with the basics. So your natural is obviously this one. Make sure you wall it off, just like on every map. And now the question is, which third base to take? I thought a lot about this, and Zerg players are already taking this as a third base because this one is a safer base, but it only has 6 mineral patches and 1 gas. And I thought as a Terran player, what would be the best decision? This base is riskier to take as your third, but what you can do is if you take this is your natural, this is your third, you can simply mine out your main base and then float it to this one because it will mine out super fast. So you kind of get way more value from your main base. Meanwhile, after when you expand, you can take this space, you can take this space, or this one as your fourth with a planetary, or even this one in the bottom right. That's something I still have to experiment with because I feel like if you expand to this one as your third, no matter the race, you're kind of not getting the full value out of the third base. Plus, it mines out pretty fast. So we'll see how the meta develops from this point on. Now let's talk about watchtowers. There's 2 on this map, and I like these watchtowers. The reason for that is the watchtower itself covers a lot of ground, but these watchtowers don't really cover too much. They're not, you want to have them for sure, but they're not something that you need to fight over constantly, and if you don't have it, you're gonna, lose the game by the opponent's movements. So you actually need to have map control in other different ways than just grabbing the watchtower. The reason why you want to be getting these ones, well, you want to get at least one of them, which is the one that's closer to your main base, because it kind of covers the potential drop pass. So if it's a TVT, if the opponent goes through this side to drop your main, or from here, you'll be able to see them. So definitely make sure you get your own, or if you're dropping your opponent, make sure you take the watchtower before committing to either doom drop or just drop in general. Now, this map has some potential for harass. It's not as bad as the previous two as far as liberators go. You can move around here a bit. I'm pretty sure queens can hit your liberator if it's parked here. But if you park the liberator between the natural and the third, you can kind of harass both bases. The Raven can be pretty good on it as well. Cloak Banshees have a lot of space to move around. So, not a perfect map, but better than the previous two. Obviously, this map is pretty big, and this is another map that I think will be hard against Zerg. And the reason is very simple, kind of like the Blood Boil. There's so many counterattack paths. If you push through this side, the Zerg can counterattack through here, here. Uh, I mean, this is the same path, but coming from different side. And there's just so many counterattack paths that mass Zergling can arrive. But this is also the reason why I think it's better for Terran in TVP than it is for Protoss, because you can just avoid Protoss, death ball and just go around and fight their, bases instead of their units, basically. One thing that you guys can abuse, especially against Protoss, is this position with siege tanks. You're going to be able to shoot at both gases, so whether you're doing one base build or two base all in, or even three base, this is something you can siege up and abuse. And the same reason why I don't think Protoss players will be taking this base as a third, because, well, if you put your siege tanks here or here, that base will be very easily denied. Actually, when I played my TVZs, the Zerg players didn't take this base because siege tanks here are pretty good. Now, if the opponent takes this space as a third, which they probably will, you can siege up here and here and kind of push into the third. Now, I think this map, like I said, will be hard for TVZ, but the benefits of it are no matter which base you're pushing into, whether it's this one, the one in the corner, or this one, if you set up on the high ground with Widow Mines or Siege Tanks, Zerg has to attack through a choke. So that's one benefit for Terran against Zerg and against Protoss as well if you're using Liberators or Siege Tanks. But just remember, there's a lot of counterattack paths. TVT, you have to keep positioning or on where his army is. You're gonna have Marines, split up, one or two Marines everywhere to see where the army is moving. But yeah, there will be a lot of base trades in this map, a lot of timings with siege tanks in positions like this one and this one. So initially I thought this map is pretty good for Zerg, but like I said, the meta still needs to change and evolve on these new maps because they're a lot different than the previous map pool. So I guess the best thing to do is just wait around and see where the meta takes us. Here we are onto the fourth map, the map that's probably the weirdest, and in every map pool there's that one map that no one likes, and I think Defender's Landing is that one. I've actually played probably 10 games on every other map, new one that came out. I actually played 0 games in this one. I think a lot of people already vetoed it simply because it's a weird map, it's not standard map, and people just don't want to play on it. Now, this map for me has a lot of similarities with Paladino Terminal. It's a very small map, it's a 2-player map, it has no watchtowers anywhere on the map, and do not expect normal macro games on this map. This map will always have crazy strategies, a lot of all-ins, a lot of uncommon strategies that will only work on this map and nowhere else. And that's what a lot of people like to avoid. Like I said, I still haven't played the map, so I'm not really sure how it plays out. But I've talked with some people and I've watched some games in order to, tell you guys how you should be playing this map if you actually encounter someone playing it. So yeah, let's get started. So first things first, this map compared to the previous three has a lot of dead airspace, which is very, very good for Terran. So here, as you can see, there's a lot of dead airspace. You can use Ravens, you can use Liberators, you can use Cloak Banshees as well. Also, between the natural and the third, there's a dead airspace here. You can fly through, harass, put Liberator here, move around, go into the main base, and so on. So harass-wise, this map is pretty good for Terran, but again, the oracles will be equally annoying on this map. One thing I know is that Zergs hate this map. They already vetoed it. They don't want to play it. So there's a good chance that you will be meeting a lot of Protosses and Terrans on this map. Now, the natural base is obviously this one, and the way it plays out, these are the collapsible rocks that if you kill it, it has 500 health. If you kill it, it creates another rock masterpiece here. And basically, the fastest path to your opponent is just straight through the middle. But if your opponent destroys these rocks, you kind of have to make a little detour, which is actually not a huge detour. So maybe adds a couple of seconds, but that's it. Um, your third base, I mean, you have two options. It's either this one or this one. But because this one can be sieged from the low ground, definitely do not suggest taking it. Take this one. And after that, the map has no rules. I don't think you'll ever going to have a game where it's like, oh yeah, this is how you play on this map. This is the standard. Like I said, this map is just one of those crazy ones. So expect a lot of all-ins. If you face a Zerg player, expect one base Roach Ravager, expect proxy hatches or just one base Roach Link pushes, two base Roach Link pushes. If you're playing against Protoss, trust me, you will be pylon rushed no matter what. Just like Paladino, where everyone is pylon rushing and proxying Stargates, you will be pylon rushed here as well. If they proxy Stargates here, it's a very quick point to your base. Even if they proxy Robo, like in the position like this one, they can kill you with Immortals. So like I said, um, if you do play this map, if you don't have it vetoed, kind of open, more aggressive, maybe even one base would later expand or fast expanding, but knowing that the aggression is coming. So you need to be prepared for it. Other than that, if you manage to survive into the mid game or God forbid late game, I don't think that's going to happen, but for the sake of our argument, let's say so. Siege tanks are super good on this map. So if you push here, opponents destroys these rocks. You can siege up here, wall them off by not letting them pass through main and the natural. You can drop some marines, attack the main, while protecting this path. If you're attacking through this side and he has only two base, you can siege up here. Uh, if the opponent grabbed the third, you can put your siege tanks here. Liberators, widow mines. So overall, this map, if you manage to survive, past the one base, pylon rushes, road ravagers, or even TVT one bases, this map is very good for siege tanks. And out of the last four maps, this map is probably the most Terran favored one in both TVZ and TVP. But like I said, I can't really give a prediction how, what the best builds are going to be. It is a crazy one. Expect a lot of all-ins and good luck defending. Let's move on to the last one. The last map out of the new 5 maps is Odyssey. If that's how you pronounce it, I'm not really sure. Or Odyssey. We'll see. We'll find out with time. Now, this map is my favorite map out of the new maps that came into this map pool. And I'll explain why. First of all, there's nice little back entrance for the Reaper so you can scout your opponents. I love when that happens because it's no fun playing against an opponent that you cannot scout with your Reapers. The natural, uh, you know, pretty common, just normal natural base. You want to wall this off. The natural entrance is a bit big, so make sure to wall it off pretty quick against Zerg, especially because of the Zergling run-bys that I've experienced quite a bit. Moving on to the third base, there's two possible third bases. First one is this one. The second one is this one. Now, the interesting thing about this map is this base is kind of tucked in here, so it's easier to defend it, I guess. But just like on the Ascension, I would take this base as your third because it covers your main base in a way that your army is probably going to be here. If the Doom Drop comes or War Prism, you can intercept it, put a watchtower here, and your whole main base will be covered by a sensor tower. So you're not going to lose, units to War Prisms or even Mutas or Doom Drops. So in my opinion, this is the third you want to take, and that's something I guess that time will tell. I think it's also player preference. The reason why I say that is there's a lot of cool things about this map, which is why it's my favorite. Let's say you take this as your third. Your fourth base should be this one, and this base has 10 mineral patches. So you need 20 workers to mine this one out, and you get a lot of income. Now, on the other side, if you take this base, what happens is your fourth can be the gold base. And the gold base has 8 mineral patches, so you're going to have 16 workers mining, and you're going to have a lot of income coming at you. So the difference is this base has only one gas. So I think which third base you take will depend not only on race you play, but also on the play style you play. If you're playing like Bio, you can take this base, then proceed to the gold and get a lot of income, especially if your opponent is expanding this way. You'll be expanding towards your opponent, which is something you always want to do against the Zerg player because they want to be, expanding away from you, not closer to you. There's a lot of interesting things on this map that uh, I don't think that there will ever be a correct answer. Like I said, it will be based on play styles, what race you play, how you want to play it out, and so on. Another cool thing on this map, this base, as you can see, only has 5 mineral patches, but it has 3 Vespene geysers. So if you're playing, Mech or Protoss or Zerg tech-heavy style, this base is going to be super good for you because all the extra gas you will be able to mine from and get your higher tech units out. Now, as far as harass options, I think this map is pretty good for that. First of all, you can drop Marines here against Zerg and attack this base, Stim Marines. There's a path into the main base that's pretty safe. You can go siege up Liberator, harass a little bit, move to the third base. If you have a Raven, you could position it here, harass both bases. The natural base is pretty good to harass as well. If you have a Liberator Raven, they're going to be pretty safe here. Um, as long as they have natural. If they have this space, the queens can hit you from here, so you gotta be careful about that. Overall, I think this map is pretty decent for the air harass from any race, so that's probably something you want to be using in your own games. There's 2 watchtowers in this map, and I think they're pretty important because if you control both watchtowers and then you have a widow mine or a unit on the middle, you pretty much control the whole map where the units are going to be coming from. So definitely try to, grab those. As far as the attack paths go, there's quite a few that you can take and that you need to be careful of when playing on this map. Assuming we spawn in the bottom right like we did, um, this position right here is very strong to position your siege tanks, push on to the third, or if it's a fourth base. I've played quite a few games on this map already, and people kind of don't really have a set base which one they take. I've seen people take this base as a third. I've seen people take this base as a third, this base as a fourth, or the gold base as a fourth. So you kind of have to, while you're in the game, figure out where the opponent is and kind of plan your attacks beforehand based off of that. No matter if this is the third or the fourth base, you can always push through here with siege tanks. This is like such a strong position. On the other hand, if this is the base you want to attack, again, you have a pretty good position here with either Widow Mines, Liberators, or Siege Tank pushing into a base. Same path here. One thing I will definitely suggest is have a unit on the middle of the map because on this map you will never ever want to attack through the middle because it's very, very open, and playing against Protoss with Liberators will not, help you in any kind of way if you play on open. Same thing against Zerg. So just make sure you have vision here and then push around and, attack into the right side or the left side, and just kind of try to take positional advantage. So if you attack this space, don't go from here, just take this side because it is a lot better. Once again, this is my favorite map in this map pool, and I'm really, really excited to play it because there's going to be a lot of diversity as far as the build orders and strategies and playstyles go. So definitely a big thumbs up from me for this map, and that was it. That was the last map. That is it for the map review video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below which maps did you like the most and which maps you're definitely going to veto. Once again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.